Sometimes life will make you wait and wait and wait some more. And you'll be tempted to think that the waiting means the promise was a lie, that the vision was just a fantasy, that the word you held on to was just your imagination. But I came to tell you today that your delay is not your denial. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. Just because it's been held up doesn't mean it's been held back. There is a difference between a delay and a denial, and if you don't understand that difference, you'll walk away from something that was still on the way. God has a way of hiding destiny in delay. He'll stretch the process to prepare your character. He'll allow the clock to tick and the calendar to turn, not because he's forgotten about you, but because he's building something in you. You see, if he gave it to you too soon, you'd ruin it. You'd mishandle it. You'd misuse it. So the delay isn't punishment. It's preparation. The delay isn't God rejecting you. It's him protecting you. It's him saying, not now, but later. It's him saying, you're not ready yet, but I'm working on you. I'm molding you. I'm shaping you. Don't confuse silence with absence. Just because you haven't heard anything doesn't mean nothing's happening. Oh, I feel that. Some of you are in a season where God has gone quiet. The phone's not ringing. The doors aren't opening. The emails aren't coming. The job offers aren't showing up. The relationship hasn't been restored. The healing hasn't manifested. And the enemy is whispering in your ear, see, he's not coming. He's not real. He's not faithful. But the devil is a liar. Just because God is silent doesn't mean he's still. He's moving in ways you can't see. He's shifting things behind the curtain. He's working backstage. The audience can't see the setup, but when the curtain rises, you'll realize he was putting it all together the whole time. Your faith has to survive frustration. You have to learn how to praise in a pause, worship in a waiting room, believe with no evidence, stand when there's no support, hold on when you're tired of holding. Because the real test of faith is not when everything's going your way. It's when nothing is going your way and you still won't let go. That's where the power is. That's where the oil is. That's where the anointing is born. Not in the palace, but in the prison. Not on the mountaintop, but in the valley. Not in the answer, but in the delay. Look at Joseph. God gave him a dream, and then everything went wrong. His brothers threw him in a pit. He was sold into slavery, lied on, imprisoned, forgotten. Delay after delay after delay. But the dream didn't die. The vision wasn't void. God was using the delay. Time was right. Hallelujah. When the time was right, no devil in hell, no lie from Potiphar's wife, no forgotten promise could stop what God had ordained. Delay was not denial. And it's not just Joseph. Moses wandered for 40 years. David was anointed as king but sent back to the field. Jesus waited 30 years before working a single miracle. Delay doesn't cancel calling. Delay doesn't disqualify purpose. Delay doesn't mean dismissed. It just means not yet. It means God's got a schedule, and you're not late. You're in line. I know it's hard. I know the waiting hurts. I know you cry yourself to sleep sometimes, and wake up still waiting. I know you watch others get what you've been praying for. You see them getting married, having children, buying homes, growing ministries, signing deals, and you smile on the outside but scream on the inside. God, when is it my turn? And if you're not careful, you'll start to think that He's blessing everybody but you. But can I tell you something? Delay is not neglect. He hasn't skipped you. He's saving you. He's got a set time, and when it comes, it will be unstoppable. Stop comparing your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 20. Stop measuring your journey by someone else's highlight reel. Your timing is not their timing. God knows how long your journey is. Your process is not their process. What God is building in you takes time. It takes fire. It takes tears. It takes silence. It takes trust. And yes, it takes delay. But don't let the delay make you doubt what you heard. Don't let the pause make you abandon the promise. What He said, He will do. What He started, He will finish. What He declared, He will deliver. Delay has a way of stripping you of distractions. It purifies your motive. Are you still showing up when nothing's changing? Are you still praying when heaven seems closed? Are you still serving when no one notices? Delay will test your why. Do you want the blessing or do you want the blesser? Do you want the promise or do you want His presence? Because sometimes God will delay the answer to deepen the relationship. He's saying, come closer. He's saying, sit with me, not just for what I can give you, but for who I am to you. Sometimes the delay is divine. It's heaven's holding pattern. You're circling the runway and you're ready to land, but the air traffic control, God Himself, is saying, hold. Because if you land too soon, you'll crash. If you land too soon, you'll miss what I'm trying to teach you in the air. If you land too soon, you won't have the strength to carry what I'm putting in your hands. You've got to trust the timing, trust the process, trust the silence, trust the stretching. Because delay doesn't mean God has changed His mind. It means He's changing you to match what He has in mind. He's refining your spirit. He's sharpening your discernment. He's building your endurance. He's getting your roots deep so your fruit can last. Don't run from the delay. Don't resent the delay. Don't curse the delay. Embrace it. Lean into it. There's treasure in the wait. There's purpose in the pause. Delay will teach you how to praise without proof. It'll teach you how to walk by faith and not by sight. It'll teach you how to hear God in the stillness and trust Him in the shadows. It'll build in you a resilience that can't be shaken, a patience that can't be bought, a faith that won't fold. So the next time the enemy tries to whisper that it's too late, that you've missed it, that it'll never happen, you rise up and shout back, I'm in delay, not denial. It's still coming. My breakthrough is still scheduled. My blessing is still booked. My destiny is still written. Because what God has for you is still yours. It doesn't expire. It doesn't get lost. It doesn't get stolen. It doesn't disappear. It's just waiting for the right time, and when that time comes, nothing and no one can stop it. Salat is never about disqualification. It's about development. When life doesn't move at the pace you expect, when prayers don't seem to produce instant results, when the promise feels more like a fantasy than a future, it's easy to feel like the delay is a punishment. But it's not. It's preparation. It's the divine workshop where God takes his time molding, shaping, refining, and stretching you to become the person who can carry what you've been praying for. Because if he gave it to you too soon, it would crush you. The weight of the blessing requires the strength of the foundation. And the foundation is laid in delay. You don't build a skyscraper on sand. You don't launch a rocket with a loose engine. You don't send a soldier into battle without basic training. And God will never release you into destiny unprepared. That's why the wait is necessary. It's uncomfortable, it's painful, and it often feels unfair. But it's working for you, it's not against you. Every closed door, every unanswered prayer, every season of silence is adding something to you. Strength, patience, endurance, discernment, discipline. The things you don't get in the spotlight are grown in the shadows. And delay is a shadow season. People look at the harvest and celebrate it, but they don't understand the depth of what was buried underground for years before the fruit ever appeared. They don't see the roots digging deep into the soil. They don't see the pressure of the dirt, the darkness of isolation, the silence of the soil. That's what delay feels like. But the deeper the root, the higher the tree. The longer the process, the greater the purpose. God is building your capacity in the delay so that when you finally walk into what he's promised, you won't fold under pressure. David was anointed king, but he wasn't crowned overnight. He had to go back to tending sheep. He had to dodge spears. He had to sleep in caves. Delay didn't remove his calling, it refined his character. Joseph had a dream that he would rule, but he ended up in a pit, then a prison. Delay taught him humility, management, forgiveness, and faithfulness. By the time he stood before Pharaoh, he wasn't just a dreamer, he was ready to rule. And that readiness was birthed in delay. So when you find yourself in a season of waiting, don't waste it. Don't curse it. Don't rush it. Let God work on you. Let him strip away what you don't need. Let him stretch what you thought had reached its limit. Let him teach you how to trust when nothing makes sense. Let him build you in the hidden places, because when the time comes, when the door finally opens, when the promise shows up, what you gained in the delay will sustain you in your destiny. It's easy to assume that when things go quiet, God has stopped moving. That when the heavens feel like brass and your prayers seem to echo back unanswered, it must mean he's not there anymore. But silence is not absence. Just because he's not speaking doesn't mean he's not working. Just because you can't trace his hand doesn't mean you should doubt his heart. Some of the most powerful moves of God happen in the stillness, in the quiet, in the background where your natural eyes can't see what your faith was born to believe. Silence tests your trust. It exposes your motives. It reveals whether you wanted the voice or the victory, the answer or the intimacy. There are times when God will deliberately pull back his voice to pull you deeper into his presence. He'll withdraw the obvious so you'll lean in for the unseen. In those moments, your worship becomes real because you're not doing it for the blessing. You're doing it because he's still worthy even when he's quiet. The silence becomes sacred when you realize he's still in the room, even when he's not saying anything. We often want God to perform on demand like a vending machine. Insert a prayer, push a button, get a result. But God doesn't operate on human timelines or earthly expectations. He works in rhythms of eternity. He knows what you need and when you need it. And sometimes the silence is the signal that the shift is happening in secret. He's rearranging things you don't even know need to be rearranged. He's protecting you from doors that you're praying to walk through. He's removing people from your future who look like assets but are really threats. He's doing strategic surgery in the unseen while you're wondering why the room is so quiet. In the silence, you learn to listen differently. You stop chasing the noise of the world and start leaning into the whisper of the Spirit. You stop needing signs and start cultivating faith. God doesn't always show up in thunder or fire. Sometimes he moves in a still, small voice. And when you've matured enough to recognize his presence, even in the quiet, you're ready to carry his power in the storm. Silence is not rejection, it's a refining. It teaches you how to walk with God, not just watch him work. Sometimes he'll go silent so you stop leaning on your emotions and start standing on his promises. When the feelings fade and the signs disappear, do you still believe what he said? Can you still declare his goodness with no proof in sight? Can you still praise him like it's already done when it looks like nothing has even started? That's where strength is born. That's where real faith grows. Not in the shouting moments, but in the still ones. Not in the open heavens, but in the silent nights. Because even in silence, he's still sovereign. Even in silence, he's still faithful. Even in silence, he's still working all things together for your good. Faith that only functions when things are going right isn't faith, it's convenience. Real faith is proven in the furnace of frustration. It's in those moments when nothing seems to move, nothing seems to change, and nothing seems to make sense, that your belief is tested and your trust is forged. Can you keep showing up when nothing is showing out? Can you keep believing when everything around you is screaming to give up? That's the kind of faith that turns delay into destiny. That's the kind of faith that turns delay into destiny. That's the kind of faith that turns delay into destiny. That's the kind of faith that turns delay into destiny. That's the kind of faith that turns delay into destiny. That's the kind of faith that turns delay into destiny. That's the kind of faith that turns delay into destiny. That's the kind of faith that turns delay into destiny. That frustration is a breeding ground for doubt, fear, and discouragement. It whispers, if it was really for you, it would have happened by now. It taunts you with timelines and throws other people's progress in your face. You scroll through life watching others step into their moments while you sit in the middle of your mess. And if you're not anchored in truth, your emotions will convince you that delay means denial and frustration means failure. But frustration is not a sign that God has abandoned you. It's a sign that something in you is being stretched beyond comfort and into capacity. Faith that survives frustration says, even if I don't see it, I still believe it. It lifts hands when there's no harvest. It sings when there's no song left. It walks on water when the storm is raging. That kind of faith isn't birthed in ease. It's born in the tension of unanswered questions and prolonged process. You have to decide whether your faith is built on feelings or facts. Because feelings fluctuate, but the fact remains. If God said it, it will come to pass. But there's often a fight between the word and the manifestation. And in that fight, frustration is guaranteed. But quitting is not an option. God allows frustration to expose what's fragile in your belief system. He allows things to break so he can rebuild them with strength. When your plan falls apart, he's giving you an invitation to lean not on your understanding but on his word. When people walk away, he's teaching you that approval was never your source. When doors close, he's showing you how to trust what you cannot trace. Faith isn't proven by getting what you want. It's proven by standing when you don't. There's a reason the Bible talks about the fight of faith, because it's a battle. It's not passive. You have to war against weariness. You have to silence the voice of fear. You have to push past disappointment. Every day you don't see it, you have to choose to still believe it. Every moment it doesn't happen, you have to declare that it's still coming. That's the kind of faith that heaven responds to. That's the kind of faith that unlocks doors. That's the kind of faith that turns delay into delivery. And it's forged not in comfort, but in the fiery forge of frustration. Mod doesn't operate on your clock. He doesn't check your calendar before moving. He doesn't rush just because you're anxious. And he doesn't delay because he's uncertain. His timing is flawless, intentional, and always tied to something deeper than your immediate understanding. What you call late, he calls being prepared. When you trust his timing, you stop rushing the process and start respecting the pace. Because the blessing is not just about what you're getting, it's about when you're ready to carry it. We often want overnight miracles, but God is doing generational work. He's not just answering a prayer, he's aligning your path. He's not just opening a door, he's preparing a room. He sees things you don't see. He knows the pitfalls you don't even know are coming. And so he waits, not because he's punishing you, but because he's protecting you. There are some things you prayed for that would have ruined you if they arrived too early. Some people you wanted to be with who would have distracted you from destiny. Some opportunities you begged for that would have crushed you under the weight of responsibility you weren't ready to carry. The waiting isn't wasted, it's working. You're not stuck, you're being stationed. You're not forgotten, you're being formed. The process you're resenting is the very thing that's preparing you for the platform you've been promised. And when it's God's time, everything will align with no effort, no striving, no forcing. It will fit. It will flow. What once was locked will suddenly swing open, and you'll realize that nothing was ever denied, only delayed for a greater purpose. Every delay is a test of trust. Can you wait without complaining? Can you serve while you're still believing? Can you keep giving your best when your prayers haven't been answered? That's what separates those who last from those who fade. Those who understand that divine timing doesn't always match human urgency, but it always matches eternal purpose. Some of the greatest blessings are wrapped in the hardest weights. And if you rush it, if you force it, you'll forfeit it. When God moves, it's not random, it's precise, it's strategic. You're not behind schedule, you're on heaven's timeline. And that timeline may include some nights of tears, some months of silence, even some years of wilderness. But it's never wasted. When the time comes, the things that didn't make sense will start making sense. The closed doors will reveal the protection. The unanswered prayers will show the mercy. The delay will unveil the design. When God says now, everything that was once impossible becomes inevitable. Everything that felt distant becomes immediate. The years of struggle won't even matter, because the glory of fulfillment will outweigh the pain of the process. And when you look back, you'll thank him, not just for the yes, but for the wait. Not just for the open door, but for the time he took to make you ready to walk through it. So don't let the delay fool you. Don't let the silence shake you. Don't let the frustration break you. And don't let the waiting room convince you that the promise has been canceled. What God has spoken over your life still stands. The vision is still alive. The door is still being prepared. And the time, his perfect time, is still coming. You may feel like you're stuck, but heaven has not forgotten your name. Every tear, every prayer, every quiet act of obedience is being recorded in places your eyes cannot see. Your delay is not your denial. It's your development, your proving ground, your preparation for something greater than you imagined. Stay faithful, stay planted, and stay expectant. Because when God moves, it will be worth every second you had to wait.